Yo, what up? This is Derek Miner, and you're tuned in to Oxen Brand Music. I honestly got tired of people not listening to the stuff I was saying on my other records, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna make it more front and center. And what I realized was it wasn't the world that needed changing; I needed changing. Because it'd be easy to leave it there and be like, yeah, those Christians suck.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't want to leave it there. So I think the first thing is earn the right to be heard. That's number one.
All right, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, you guys aren't here to see me, okay? I know I love that we got new people showing up too, but I know it's not about me, and that's okay, all right? It's about Jesus, okay? And it's about the homie Derek Miner. Welcome, Derek Miner, to the show. Back to it.
What up with it? What up with it?
What up, bro? Thank you so much for coming back on the show, man.
I feel like I'm mad close to the screen. You so far back.
Oh, nah, looks good on my end. They got to see you. They got to see you. They don't need to see me.
There we go, my guy. But yeah, everything good.
That's good, bro. That's good. So I don't want to take too long into it because I know I want to be respectful of your time, and there's a lot that I want to get into, and I really want to unpack. And a lot of what we're going to be unpacking is your brand new project, Nobody's Perfect, that you dropped recently. And what's been cool about that too is that you also had a little tour, right? A little tour where you were going to different shops and stuff like that. Could you, for those of us who may not know, could you tell us a little bit about that? Because it seemed not only intentional as far as like, hey, I want to make sure like I let people know about this track and stuff like that, but what you were doing there was also more intentional than just sharing the music itself. So could you tell us a little bit about that, bro?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was just sharing the music, but it was just so impactful that it led to a lot of different conversations. Like, that's the reason why I felt like touring the album before the album comes out was important.
Yeah.
I wanted to educate people on what was going to happen.
Right.
So yeah, like as far as the music is concerned, it's just that's where I was at. The music was so impactful. I didn't really have to say much, really.
So at that point, I mean, was everybody already like was the project already out and you were just kind of talking about it there, or were you debuting it there in front of people?
Nah, no one had heard anything up until those events. So actually, let's see, my last event was in April,
Mm-hmm.
and the album didn't come out until this past August. So
Wow.
yeah, there was a little gap in between getting it done. We had a few technical difficulties, but it wound up working out for the better.
Yeah. Oh man, that's dope. That's cool to be able to get, that sneak peek and that. Now, okay, so what was it like for you? Because it's one of those things that sometimes, as obviously as artists, as creatives, you put stuff out there and you tend to just wait for the responses. But you were right there, live in front of people, and getting immediate responses. What was that dynamic like? What were the kind of responses that you were really noticing during that time?
Yeah, I think the main response for a lot of people is, wow, I didn't know I needed this.
Wow.
You know, some of the songs about like emotional stuff. And
Yeah.
then there was a lot of people that was like, man, I just love the beats. I love the bops. I love the diversity of the record. So
Yeah.
it was usually either diversity or some of the messages in there felt like medicine to people. So,
Man, that's dope. So, okay, so what? So everybody's different in terms of how they process anything. Rather it's compliments, rather it's something, some kind of opposition or whatever. What were you able to, or how were you able to process that in real time? Especially, I mean, because I'm just thinking, if I did something and somebody says, "Wow, I didn't know that I needed that," I'm not sure how I'd be processing right then and there. Or was it something that like after you were done with all of it that you were able to kind of sit in all of that time that you spent?
nah, I like to take stuff in real time. And I think like when I make music, I don't necessarily just make it for me and for my ego. Like, I mean, a lot of our ego is in our music.
Right.
It's our songs that we're making, but I make them to see how people experience it. I almost feel like it's something like a chef. Like a chef, the best compliment they can get is when someone tastes the food and do that.
Yeah.
you don't have to say nothing else. Like
Mm.
that mean I hit the mark. And I think for me with a lot of my listeners,
Yeah.
that's what I got. Like I got a lot of like people that like you just see it in their face. Certain bars. There were certain bars I looked around and I would see people and I'm like, all right, here it comes. Boom.
Wow.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And you just watch it hit. And then you're like, oh, that person felt seen with that lyric. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
That lyric helped them feel seen.
Man, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how. I don't know. I don't even know how I would take that in. I mean, Nisha was obviously a part of one of them, and just said that the emotion was just wild. And so, um, were what was something through the project that while you were creating it that um, that you just knew like this song or this topic or whatever is something that I know for sure, because it's one of those things. And I remember from our last interview we had talked about how you just never really know what song is going to stick when
Right.
it comes to putting stuff out, whatnot. So in this project, knowing how intentional you are, was there a song or a topic that you're like, I know this is going to be the one that is going to resonate with so many people?
Yeah, it was the intro.
Mm.
So the intro, my original intro, I had to scrap it because of a sample clearance issue.
Right, right.
But it wound up working out for the better
Yeah.
because I made this melody up, sent a voicemail to my partner Quentin, and he nailed it.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I was writing the lyrics, like I would write some and then I would freestyle some and write some, freestyle some. It was like a big combination.
Yep.
But I just knew I was like, no one has been this honest in their music.
Yeah.
And it's that level of honesty is gonna be something that's gonna make people love it. I just knew it.
Yeah. Shoot,
I would
especially
say
that
that
first
song
line.
is Scars. Yeah,
Ooh.
right. I gave God all my pain, but forgot to give him praise. Like that's, you know,
Yep.
how many of us are there?
So normally we would do this a little bit later in the show, but I think just timing wise, it'd be great for the Oxen Brand Spotlight portion of the show, ladies and gentlemen. We're actually going to go ahead and get into it now, and because Derek just kind of set it up right now, and so he also has a visual commentary for his whole project as well that really goes into a lot of the details. And so yes, we'll be covering it here too, but make sure that you guys are clicking the links that are in the chat. You see the visual there as well, so make sure you guys check that out. But let's go ahead and actually check that out. We're going to listen to the first 4 minutes of the visual, okay? So that way it can give you context to the song that Derek just talked about, and then that way you guys get a chance to experience if you haven't done so already. Let's go ahead and get into it.
The Bible was telling us all these people did this because
Yeah, Nisha, I agree. That changed the world part. It definitely hits different for sure. I mean, and the fact that you actually even had the clip of you and Holland with your song with her, I was like, because I remember I was just watching that, and obviously I'm taking the words or whatever, but for whatever reason, yeah, that line, and then I looked and I was like, ooh, but I remember how much I actually got impacted by that song too. So I thought that was a dope double whammy for me.
Yeah.
So the vulnerability has always been really intentional, or I can't say always. I have noticed further and further down the road in your career, and especially even more recently, you've been very intentional about your vulnerability. What has given you the boldness and strength to do that?
I honestly got tired of people not listening to the stuff I was saying on my other records. So I was like, all right, I want to make it more front and center. Like I've always been this artist. I
Okay.
used to. Matter of fact, I've gotten upset so much when I get stuck. I
Yeah.
always get stuck when I'm trying to be something other than myself. Every time I try to be myself, you get tons of music. And I
Wow.
think the thing with me was I had like all these records that I felt like I was telling my story, but they would get overshadowed by like the bangers. And I think I've just got a better job of making sure that people see the vulnerability as much as they see the bangers. Like so
Yeah.
I'll platform a record that I'm like, man, I don't know if this is gonna be a huge record, but there's gonna be some people out there that this record matters to. So I'll
Wow.
platform that where somebody would be like, all right, I got to do 3 singles. I need 3 bangers.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference. Just I platform some of that music more now.
Man, I love that. I've always been that, but I just got tired of people missing it.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool too, because I mean, a lot of times, obviously, just speaking with artists in general, and then you got some artists who they may say like really deep, meaningful stuff, but yeah, sometimes it's just on a really dope beat and it gets carried over. And I can definitely feel that the frustration with it. Now, do you feel like because of that, not only were you more intentional with your music about, hey, I want to make sure you hear me, but like even social media wise, like did you start doing the exact same thing there too?
Nah, social media was just frustration.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
I had no plan, no nothing. I just was letting my emotions hang out online, which I don't really suggest to do.
Yeah.
I did it. I survived it, but I don't know if I could go back over and do it again. If I would have done that, I probably would have been a lot more intentional with how I use my words. But
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, talk about that, because it's also in your visual commentary as well, where you were talking about how during the pandemic, there's a portion of time where you, I guess for lack of better words, overshared your thoughts in the space that you were in, and then being corrected both negatively and positively. So could you kind of unpack that? Because I think obviously most people know, hey, stop using the internet to be the place that you throw up all of your feelings and emotions and all that. However, that's also the space that we do all of that, because sometimes we use that space to process, whether it's healthy or not. We don't have good community. Maybe the community that we have is opposing what we feel. And so therefore we're like, well, where you can't tell me not to say something is my platform. So just talk us through that portion of time for you, man.
Yeah, I think that portion was more, for me, it was more of, I want people to understand. You know what it was? I was trying to change people. That was the mistake. I felt like if I had the right conversation or the right rebuttal to certain arguments, that it would change people. And that's why I said in that lyric, tried to change the world, I had to change me. And what I realized was, it wasn't the world that needed changing. I needed changing. Right? The world is going to be the world. There's going to be racist people, evil people, angry people, happy people, nice people. And if you're not mentally stable, you're not going to know who's who. And that's going to make you even more frustrated, and it makes you become isolated. In turn, what I needed to be doing was to be saying, okay, I'm going to spend less time feeding this negativity and more time focusing on this positive things that's happening, and let the world just be what the world is going to be, because I can't change the world. I can only change myself and hopefully influence the people in my circle.
Wow. Amen, bro. Wow. Man, you said a lot. You said a lot. You just said a lot right there. And just the opening bars starting off saying the world's going to be the world. Gosh, rather you're a Christian, rather you're not a Christian, those of you guys even in the chat, like no matter where your walk is, like to have that reminder, like we really have to remind ourselves when somebody's attacking us, when somebody's just disagreeing, just to disagree, when someone you thought like you, and then all of a sudden y'all not. I love that you said that, because then you have to put it in context and go, now wait a minute, am I trying to make them be like me? Is that who they always were, and I just didn't recognize it? Because obviously that plays into a whole lot of other things, because then you start. I think having those moments is probably a good reflection moment when you start to feel certain kind of ways, whether it's upset or offended. So Tim Ross from the basement verbalizes it really well, that I've been continuing to use, which is I would rather be more curious. If I'm curious, I can't be offended, right? I can't be offended and curious at the same time. And so, however, to be able to get to that point, is a whole different conversation as far as the growth and all that. Now, okay, so because of what has been happening around in the CHH with, and we're not necessarily going to go into that because we already did that on a different stream, but when like D1 was calling out Cray with, you know, the ratchet and righteous and all that, whatever, I've seeing that played out in public, which I felt like was at least done in a very healthy way, all right, from compared to what has ever been in past. So for you though, taking me back to that point when somebody was reaching out to you, when people were calling out to you and whatnot, and not the negative way, because again, people are just stupid. So that's what was the quote I saw on a different interview? You were talking about something about Christian love. You know,
There's no hate like Christian love.
yes. Okay. Unpack that, because when you had said that, it was one of those like, okay, I feel like I know what he's saying, but I really want to know what he's saying.
Yeah. So, all right. So during this time, you know, I remember being publicly like criticized and chastised or whatever by a lot of people. You know, people were saying, you know, and it's always with this, I love you, brother. But then behind it's like, but you can't be a Christian, or
Yeah.
you're this or you're that, you know, or just a flat out, man, people just call you the devil and I knew you were
Yeah.
fake and
Yeah.
all this different stuff. But it's always prefaced with, I love you, brother.
Yep.
It's always, and when you look at a lot of tough love that you see happen from a lot of oftentimes Christians, they think it's love, but it's actually hate, right? Like what kind of is standing outside of an abortion clinic with a woman that probably made one of the hardest decisions she ever made in her life, right or wrong, and doing her like the girl on what was it, Game of Thrones, where she's walking down and they were like shame and they're ringing the bell behind her.
That's
like
tough. Yeah.
what
that's a picture.
is,
Oh my gosh.
you see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
what love is that? Because
Wow.
the Bible tells us what love is. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is long suffering. You know what I'm saying? Like love is gentle. Love is all those things. So you explain to me how that's that. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
I think that's what I've seen. Like that's where that line from that song came from. There's no hate like Christian love. Right. And that was coined by a person that wasn't a Christian, or they were like an ex-evangelical or whatever.
Yep.
And while all these Christian people were jumping on me, somebody said there's no hate like Christian love. And they were just saying like, look, see, y'all are supposed to be the loving people, but look how you even treating your guy. This your man's. Right.
Yeah.
So I wrote a song about that. And usually the reason that is to wrap it up even more, because it'd be easy to leave it there and be like, yeah, those Christians suck.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to leave it there.
Yes.
Because the truth of the matter is that all these Christian people are at varying places in their journey.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the mistake that all of us make is when we meet someone that calls himself a Christian, we instantly expect perfection out of that person.
Yep.
And the truth is they could be at any place in their journey. Like who knows where that person is, you know? So Christian is not synonymous with perfection. Christian ain't even synonymous with maturity, because how can I hold a Christian that's only been saved for 6 months to any standard of maturity? They got a lot of learning to do. Christianity to me is about growth and love and faith. That's what it's about. It's, you know, love. God has done what he's done for us out of love. Growth. We as human beings every day on this earth should be growing to be a more mature person, a more healed person, a more helpful person. And faith. We do all of that by faith. We can't do it in our own power. It all happens by faith.
Yeah. No, that's good, bro. The maturity aspect too. I'm glad that you talked about that. Like, there's levels to it too, because so it's yes, at some point you would hope if somebody says, you know, hey, I've been of the faith for 20 years. Okay, you would hope that there would be certain things that they would be over, right, at some point, even though that there's a process. However, there's so many factors to that. Like it could be, so it wasn't, bro, it wasn't until, and I'm sure you would have similar stories too. So I used to, with my old football coach slash teacher, Coach Mark Ambrose. He stepped out of teaching, became motivational speaker. Basically, he saw too many youth coming into high school with their mind set as to what the world is, and so he used to break. And so I came on board as myself and Jeffrey in the chat and some others. So we toured up and down Illinois, did different school assemblies and church events and whatever, right? Yeah. And it wasn't until I started traveling around with him and then eventually started traveling around with some other ministries that I started realizing, oh, we're not all reading the same Bible. Like there'd be some church events that we did, and I'm like, wait, what do you guys think Jesus is? Who do you think? Wait a minute, what passage did you read? Because I clearly must have missed that, and that must have been in Hebrew, and that's probably why I missed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, right. It wasn't until I started doing that I then became. And I think because I didn't know Jesus before, right? So typically, those who have been forgiven for much forgive much, right? They love more. And so for me, to tie this all in as far as maturity, for me, I was able to have a bigger grace for people to know that, oh, yes, you've been a Christian longer, but you haven't had somebody walk through the scriptures with you like I did when I first came into church. Because in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is just how everybody does. Like everybody loves Jesus like this. And then I started traveling. I'm like, oh, not everybody loves Jesus like that.
But even beyond loving Jesus, like there's people that love Jesus a lot.
Yeah. But
they haven't taken the time to do self-development.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they're still immature.
Yeah.
So I think I wouldn't even gauge a person's love of Jesus by the maturity. But I will say that we live in a world that tells us if you want to fix something, you have to look everywhere else but internally. You know what I'm saying? If your money is messed up, it's because of the government. You know what I'm saying? Or it's because of those foreigners taking your job, right? Or, you know, if you're in a bad relationship, it's because all men are dogs. It's not because you need to work on yourself. Or if you know, or it's all women, they ain't nothing but some, you know, some hoes or whatever. And it's like, nah, maybe you just treat people like trash, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, or maybe you're looking for loose women. You know what I'm saying? Like, like in our minds, nothing in us says maybe I'm the cause of my current relationships. My issue. Maybe I'm the cause of the issues in my life. Maybe my position is because of me. Most people don't do that. So when they look at the Bible, they're looking at the Bible to see how can they fix other people. They're not looking to say, how can I fix myself?
Wow.
I want to fix other people with the Bible.
Amen.
So I can fix the world. And if everybody just focused on themselves, we probably would have a lot less problems.
That's good, bro. So, okay, so then question, how do you, as a friend, right? As a friend on the outside, and we could put this in the context of maybe they're not opposing God, right? Kind of agnostic-ish, but they're not really opposing God. How would you help someone where it's like, okay, I want you to help yourself, right? I would love for you to do it through the scriptures that has helped me help myself in better ways than I've been able to with conversations, whatever. So how would you advise somebody who is like, man, okay, I get that, and I get that I want people to get that self-help, but like, man, at what point do I have a say in it as a friend?
You never have a say in anybody's life unless they allow you to have it.
That's good.
So I think the first thing is earn the right to be heard. That's number one. Earn the right to be heard. We feel like we could just speak into anybody's life, whether they want us to speak into it or not. You don't know that person, and you don't, like, even if you know someone, if they don't value your word, even the Bible would say, don't cast your pearl before swine. That don't necessarily mean that a person is a pig, that just means that person may not care about what you have to say. So why in the world would you say it to him? Like,
No,
what
that's good.
value? Like,
Jeez.
earn the right to be heard. Like, that's the first thing. And you know how you earn the right to be heard? People looking at you and saying, man, I like this guy, man. Every time I see him, you know what I mean? Like, there's something different about him. And look at his integrity, no pun intended, but his integrity is great,
Yeah.
I feel like I could trust him around my family. I can trust him. That's what makes people say when they come into a crisis, hey, Derek, what do you think about this? Because of my consistency
Yeah.
and being just a normal human being that treats people with value, it opens the doors to where I have permission to speak into their life. Anything other than that, you're just spray painting your notes on their car. Like, you know what I mean?
Wow, that's a
just
good. That's a good
vandalizing their home with your thoughts.
Just
leave
graffiti.
these people alone, man. It's just graffiti everywhere.
That's bro, that's okay. Especially with a hip hop mindset, like you just tagging walls and cars, and you going into
Right.
spaces that you did
No
not
relationship.
get approval.
You just write Jesus loves you on the side of their house. Like, bro, I ain't want it. Leave me alone. Who gonna clean this up off the side of my house?
Oh man, yeah. Oh, that's hilarious because you could have all the right motive, right, all the right heart, feel that you're led to do something like that, where I'm gonna leave this person a note, I'm gonna leave this person a comment, I'm gonna DM them. I think there are, for those who are like, but hey, I was impacted that way, or hey, I've seen that impact, whatever.
Yeah.
I think there's a positive way though. Like there's what would be so yes, earn the right to be heard, like you said, but what would be like a practical way that it's like, hey, this would be a Derek Miners advice to like how you can love on this person to the point where then you can earn that. Like, is there anything other than
I think you talk to people and you ask them. Like, a lot of times I even ask people. I'm like, hey, especially if it's somebody I don't know, but I see something I might feel like I'd be able to add value with.
Yep.
I'm like, hey, do you mind if I contribute something to this? Or I might say, hey, do you need any help? Do you mind if I and I might even tell someone like, hey, I've been in this position before.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to hear what I did to get through it or whatever? That's asking permission. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I go as far as they want me to go.
Ooh,
And
right there, that part.
Yeah, as far as they want me to go. If I start seeing them getting like, oh, it's antsy, it's starting to get weird, or it's starting to get like where offensive or whatever, I'm out. Sorry, man, and I'll be apologetic, because it's how in the world can I win someone to whatever I believe and I offend them? Like at that. There may be some people that got so offended that they started loving God, but the Bible even says it's love and kindness that He draws us. Through love and kindness. We want to try to draw people with knowledge and intellect. You don't got to be smart to win somebody to God. You don't got to be smart to love God. I don't believe myself to be the smartest person on the world. You just got to have faith and a heart for Him. That's it.
No, that's good, bro. That's good. I think what also makes me think of that too is when somebody who maybe I do offend, or maybe I did make a mistake, maybe they were part of the mistake. I think then seeing how you react to that as a believer also speaks volume as well.
Oh yeah.
Just to, especially someone like you in the public eye, right? Like whatever you said and did was in the public eye for everybody. And had you have made responses and continued on a certain path that showed opposite of Jesus actively working in your life, the Holy Spirit present in all that you say and do, well, then that would have made somebody go, nah, I'm done. Like,
and I'm sure there's some people that did, say that.
Yeah.
Like that they saw me, saw my profile. I said what I said.
Yeah.
And they've already made their determination on what type of person I am.
Mhm.
That's the reason why, if we go back to the beginning of the convo,
Mhm.
why I said I wouldn't just use, I would be a lot more selective and more thorough with how I was thinking, because there's no way I'm going to be able to go find that person and tell them that,
Mm.
hey guys, I was really going through some things at that time.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll see some of the commentary, but they may see some stuff from me and say, I don't want nothing to do with that guy. That guy's the devil.
Right. Right.
It's just how it works.
And at that point, you just allow God to use somebody else.
God gotta be God.
Right. Let God be God.
God gotta be God. I gotta be Derek.
Um, no, and that's perfect too, because let's be honest too. Like there are gonna be people who are going to end up rocking with you and being drawn towards you, even in that process, because
Yeah.
your vulnerability, your honesty is probably exactly how they feel and thought and processed. And
Yeah.
though it may not have been like a good way or healthy way or whatever, at least that person, whoever got drawn to you, then got a chance to see you work through that process, that grow
For
through
sure.
that.
For sure. That's one of the superpowers of vulnerability, is that people get to see the wins as well as the losses.
Mm,
And they get to get inspired by the wins,
yeah.
And people could look and say, Derek was, people that know me know, like, I was been in some rough stuff,
Yeah.
but they now get to see the wins, and they get to see me come out here and speak and help other people. That's the
Yeah.
beauty of vulnerability. That's a superpower. It's a superpower. You can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest testimony then too, right there.
Mhm.
So that kind of leads into then scars. I want to touch on that before. I don't want to hold you too long. I want to be mindful of your time, but
Yeah,
could you kind of unpack scars, because I think that's a great setup for that.
man. I when I was on tour, I used to say a scar is only proof that God has healed you. That's
Yeah.
it. And I think that for the longest time, I thought my scars were, one, very special and unique. No
Yep.
one had any scars like this.
Mm.
It puts you in isolation.
Yep.
And then these scars have made me so ugly and so broken that I can't be used. I'm like broken, like permanently broken. And neither one of those was true. That was just something I convinced myself of. So I
Yeah.
wanted to write it. I just want to write a song for people to encourage people that, one, even though someone may know God or may be healed or in the process of healing, they still have scars and they're still going to have things and baggage that they're dealing with. But then at the same time, for people that do have that baggage, to know, like, you're seen, I see you, and
Yeah.
you're not alone. And there's other people out here that are functioning and trying to get by, and that God loves you even with your scars.
That's beautiful, bro. That's beautiful. Nisha says "Scars" is a song that really gonna resonate with a lot of people. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think I think being able to, like what you're saying, not only being able to have, sometimes scars validate people. Here's what I mean by that. Like if I'm going into battle, if I'm going into some kind of war, or whatever, and all that, and everybody that is in charge of me is like squeaky clean, like they ain't got no like dirt under their nails or anything, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be good with them.
We in trouble.
It's like,
We in trouble.
your hands ain't even rough enough to hold the gun long enough,
Yeah.
and I think sometimes not. And now, okay, for the viewers here on YouTube or here on Twitch or whatever, I am not saying to go wild out and do some stupid stuff and get some scars.
Oh man, sheesh.
That is because people can clip whatever, but like,
Right.
But it's true. But it's true though. Like seeing the scars, seeing seeing that and seeing the process and everything, whatever, it validates to be like, okay, when Derek Minor talks about how he had to process certain things, and he told me all about his stories, and I've kind of got a chance to experience that one way or the other, I'm going to now listen, the earn to be heard. I'm
Right.
now going to listen to him a whole lot better than I would somebody who I could tell that clearly outside of youth group, they've never really talked to anybody about Jesus.
Right.
know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like the parable you brought up earlier, who's gonna be the most grateful is the person that has been forgiven of much.
Yeah.
And I think that also another part of that would be that those that are trying to be forgiven, if you're going to go to the person, you're going to also go to the person that's been forgiven of much as well, and be like, yo, how did you get forgiveness? Because I need a double portion, right? They're gonna seek that person out.
No, that's good, bro. That's good, man. Well, hey, again, I want to be mindful of your time. Thank you for coming back on and chop it up. I do want to say this only because we had him on our stream as well. We had him on our show. The story about vibrations, I laughed my head off when he told us, international show, told us about how you deboed him basically into giving the song.
I said, bro, I need it, bro. Let me get it, man. Come on, dog. Hey, man, he didn't want to come off of it either, but he did. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Nah, I love that. I thought that was hilarious that you just the way you went about it. But it's not even like it, okay, like it was so funny. But so okay, back to the stream with him. I had even said, I was like, bro, like I thought this was like for sure your song, and so I'm talking about whatever, and then he goes, well, it was original. It was original. And I was like, it sounded like it was your song, so I was caught off guard a little bit. Nah,
I needed it, man. I told him, I said, this is the perfect song for this album. It was the last song I added to the album. Outside of the intro, it wrapped the album up, man. I needed it, bro. I needed it.
Nah, that was, bro. Yeah, that was a great story about that for sure. Derek is a straight up bully.
Dang.
That's Nisha, of course, just so you know.
Of course.
Andre said, I couldn't imagine it without Derek's verse though. So he made a good decision.
Hey, I slid on that mud, bro. While y'all trying to hate, I slid on it.
Nah,
but Show's original verse is cold.
Y'all gonna do the remix?
That's why I had to slide on it like that, cause Show went crazy. So I had to slide on it. But now we need to put it out. Hey, that's why I should hit him up and just tell him to put it out and see so people can see it, the remix.
Yeah. No, for sure. Jeffrey said Derek is the Suge Knight of CHH. That's hilarious.
That's my song, punk.
Oh man, no, that's good. Well, hey, again, thank you so much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, look at all the links in the chat. He's got his visual commentary. If you guys haven't got a chance to check that out, it's like 20 some odd minutes. It's bro, I love the way that it's put together. It's one of those like, and I think what was like brilliant about it is, kind of hard for the interviewers because it's like, oh well, if I just watch this thing, I can get a lot of the background, to these songs. But I think it's great because it's like there are people who, for instance, so obviously I get a chance to spin everywhere, and then when I spin your songs, I know that they're really infatuated with the beat. I know they like the tone of your voice, right? The aggression that can be in there and all that, as well as the bars. However, to be able to have this now, especially with this project, it's like, yo, but like there's so many levels to this whole album and who this person is. So yo, I'm gonna DM this link and just go ahead and ride that and check it out. And I think, and I know for me, so okay, obviously again, as a DJ, I tend to like cherry pick what songs, mostly because I'm thinking as a DJ, as far as like for entertainment aspect and also as a dancer, right? That's
right.
where my brain goes when I go to music. So it's not that I don't enjoy serious stuff or whatever. That's just not where my inclination.
Right.
I'm not gonna go straight there. However, I'm sitting here. I was driving to an event actually on Saturday, watching that whole mug, and I was like, and download all songs now. I'm like, dang. This is what happens when you really get to hear the heart behind everything. It all hit a whole lot different, man.
Man, well, that's the beauty of music, and that's the beauty of, as far as if there's any artists out here.
Yeah,
I'm always preaching find deeper ways to connect with people.
That's good.
Right. I I didn't know what the visual commentary, how people would care about it, but I knew this, that for people that were impacted by the album, this would be an easy way for them to have a conversation and say, this is why I love this album, because of this.
Yeah.
Go watch this. Let's talk about it, right? With emotional health and mental health and all of that, there's so many topics in there that people can have chats and intersection over. That's why I think that visual commentary is so important. That's how I would rather people experience the album first, honestly, if I'm being real. I'd rather them see that and then go listen to the album. It's going to make everything be more rich, have more layers,
Nah, I agree, bro. I agree. Real quick with the mental health, man. So obviously, one aspect is you want people to be vulnerable, you want people to get help and all that. But like, what is something in the mental health space that you wish would be better than where it's at? Rather, it's how it's being presented, how it's being talked about.
Yeah, I think that's hard. It's really, really hard because there's a lot of things that I feel like need to be challenged. I think the big thing is this idea that emotions are bad. And rather than looking at our emotional health, which affects our mental health, rather than looking at our emotions as just emotions, anger is not bad. Like, it's not.
Yeah, right.
The Bible literally says, "Be angry and sin not." So it's just saying you can be angry, just be in control of yourself. Sadness is not bad. You don't want to be overwhelmed with sadness, but a human that has never been sad, I would wonder, have they ever loved anybody, right? Have you ever loved anything?
Yeah.
Because usually the thing that makes you the most sad is the absence of something that you love.
Right.
So those emotions aren't necessarily bad, but I think within churches we're taught that they are. We're taught you need to get through them fast, through them fast. And what winds up happening when people are trying to get through emotions fast is they just wind up burying them and ignoring them and pretending they're not there until they spill over. And then now you're like, what's wrong with that guy? Well, he's been holding stuff in for 15 years. And today was the day he finally cracked. Like,
right. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, hey, again, I'm not going to hold you. Why Hamilton, Mr. Johnson, third day, go hard.
All right. Appreciate it, bro.
Cool. Hey, yeah, man. Thank you so much. Derek Minor and Slickwood needs to do a collaboration on This Is America. That's my homie Jeffrey. I love his brain because as an artist, as a drummer, as all the different things, whatever. But as a filmmaker, like, bro, I could definitely see you linking up with somebody who like actually does movies and tells stories.
Oh, it'd be crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I did my visual commentary with CapCut and AI. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let's go. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Hey, well, if that's a possibility, then hey, that's dope. But hey, man, again, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much. Again, obviously, everybody check out the visual first and foremost, right? In fact, if you haven't already done so, which I saw some of you guys like, oh, I gotta go check it out. Go do it. And then run it up and allow other people to hear about it as well, man. Hey, if you liked any of this content and you found some value in it, make sure that you like, subscribe, and of course, share it. Also, if you're interested in some more, go ahead and check out these videos. Till next time, grace and peace. Adios.